The forbidden name. The great hall of the Galactic Council was always filled with noise. Thousands of voices, hundreds of languages, endless arguments between alien empires, all echoing under the high crystal ceiling. But on this day, the sound was different. The voices were not strong, they were nervous, filled with unease. Something unusual had been discovered. Something ancient. At the center of the hall stood the High Speaker, a tall creature of silver skin and glowing eyes. In his clawed hand he held a small data crystal, glowing faint blue. The chamber lights dimmed as the crystal projected old records into the air. Dusty scripts, long-forgotten symbols, and words from the ancient past hovered above them. The speaker's voice trembled as he read. This is not a normal archive. It is from the first era, before our council was even born. It speaks of a world called Earth. The word echoed through the chamber. Earth. At first, silence followed. Then came the laughter. A booming laugh from the scaled Dravari warlord, a high-pitched chuckle from the insectoid Ziru, mocking voices filling the air. Earth. A myth, one said. An old story for children, another hissed. Nothing but a dead rock in the void, the Dravari sneered, but not all were laughing. In the shadows of the chamber, a frail elder of the Valori race rose to his feet. His wrinkled skin was pale, and his eyes wide with dread. Do not speak that name so lightly, he whispered, his voice shaking. Do not speak it at all. The hall quieted a little. The elder's warning sounded strange, even dangerous. The speaker frowned. Why? It is only a word. A forgotten world. The elder's hands trembled as he clutched his staff. It is more than that. Long ago our ancestors gave an oath never to awaken the memory of the Deathworlders, for their true name carries weight. It carries power. Uneasy murmurs spread across the chamber. Deathworlders. A name, heard only in fragments of myth. The insectoid Zeru delegate clicked his mandibles in irritation. Superstition, he spat. We are the council. We command empires, armies, fleets. What danger could a forgotten world hold for us? But still, the elder shook his head. You do not understand. The last time that name was spoken, stars burned, worlds fell silent. The galaxy swore never to speak it again. The speaker, impatient, raised his voice. Then let us put this nonsense to rest. Let the name be spoken and see if your ghosts appear. And with that he spoke it clearly, loudly, letting the word strike every ear in the chamber. Earth. The instant the sound left his lips, the hall fell into silence. Not the silence of respect, not the silence of fear between arguments. This was a heavy silence, a silence that felt alive. Every translator unit flickered, every communication crystal dimmed. Even the humming of the power cores beneath the chamber seemed to fade. For a heartbeat, the galaxy itself seemed to hold its breath. The speaker's eyes darted around. What? What is this? No one answered. Even the laughing Dravari warlord had gone still, his scaled face pale. The Ziru's antennae twitched in confusion. Something had shifted. Then, without warning, alarms wailed across the chamber. Crimson light bathed the council hall. Holographic screens lit up with warnings. Unidentified signal detected. From where? Someone shouted. The outer rim, cried a technician. A signal. Strong, ancient, human. The hall exploded into chaos. Some shouted to shut down communications. Others demanded fleets to be dispatched. The elder collapsed to his knees, whispering again and again. You have awakened them. You have awakened them. The speaker slammed his clawed hand on the podium. Enough. There are no humans left. They are extinct, buried by their own savagery. But his words carried no weight now. The alarms continued. The signal grew louder, spreading from one system to the next, moving like a shadow across the galaxy. And deep in the silence between the alarms, a whisper touched every ear. Not through speakers, not through comms, It was inside them, in their minds. One word. Remember. The chamber froze. Beings from 100 worlds felt their hearts sink. No one moved. No one spoke. The silence that followed was worse than any scream. The speaker's hands shook as he dropped the crystal. It shattered. On the floor, the word Earth glowing one last time before fading into darkness. But it was too late. The name had been spoken. The silence had begun. And somewhere, out there in the dark, something had heard it. Whispers of humanity across the galaxy. The forbidden word spread like fire through dry grass. It was never announced officially. The Eighth Council tried to silence it, tried to erase it from records. They ordered communication officers to censor the word. They threatened death to anyone who spoke it. But fear travels faster than law, and the word was already alive. Earth. On trade ships drifting between stars, whispers spread. In slave markets, overseers heard workers mutter it under their breath. On frozen mining colonies, engineers repeated the name in fear as if it had returned to haunt them. Stories began to surface. Not facts, not reports, myths. The Dravari soldiers told one story, of a time when their fleets invaded a lush green world near the old spiral arm. They said the natives fought not with advanced weapons but with raw fury. They fought in forests, deserts, oceans, never surrendering, even when cities burned. They were humans, some whispered, and even in defeat, they left scars on our armies that never healed. The insectoid Ziru carried another tale. In their hatcheries, elders warned younglings about the Death Worlders. It was said that even if you poisoned their air, crushed their bones, or starved their bodies, they found ways to live. They adapt, the elders said. They always adapt. On shadowed worlds, where pirates gathered, old captains told of ruins deep in forgotten sectors. Empty starships with markings none dared read. Blackened banners with a blue and green symbol that made their hearts race. The symbol of Earth, they called it. The Council tried to deny all of it. They released messages across the galaxy. Humans are gone. Their name means nothing. Their world is dust. But the harder they tried to silence the rumors, the louder they grew. In the Great Hall, the speaker raged. This is madness. Ghost stories. We are feeding children's tales with our fear. But even as he shouted, his hands trembled, because everywhere he turned he heard the whispers. Weeks passed, and then came the first report. A fleet commander of the Ovrak Dominion sent an urgent message. His ships had been patrolling the far rim. They detected a signal, strange, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. It did not match any known code. When decrypted, it revealed only one word: Earth. At first his officers laughed nervously, but then the signal repeated. Louder. Clearer. The commander reported that several of his ships malfunctioned at the exact same moment. Engines died. Comms froze. And for 10 minutes every crew member swore they heard a voice whisper inside their heads. Not from outside. From within. The council dismissed it as fabrication. But 2 days later, the same signal was detected in another sector, and then another. Like ripples in a pond, the whispers were spreading. One evening in the slums of a border world, a group of alien children sat around a fire. They asked their grandmother if the stories were true. The old woman sighed, her many eyes dim. Yes, they were real, she whispered. Humans were real. They were not the strongest, not the tallest, not the most clever, but they had something the stars could never break. They endured. They endured when no one else could. And that made them terrifying. The children shivered. One asked, "But if they are gone, why are we afraid?" The grandmother looked up at the sky. Because names have power, and their name was not meant to be spoken again. Now that it has, they will return. Back in the council chamber, fear grew heavier each day. Fleets were ordered to double patrols. New weapons were tested. But deep down, every leader knew the truth. It wasn't fleets or weapons they feared. It was memory. The elder who had first warned them now refused to eat, refused to speak. He only scratched one word on the walls of his chamber over and over until his hands bled. Remember. The speaker tried to rally courage. We are the council. We control the stars. What can one, forgotten world do against us? But even as he spoke, a messenger burst into the chamber, pale and shaking. High speaker, a signal has appeared near the galactic rim. It is not ours. It is not any race we know. It carries an old frequency. Human frequency. The hall froze. Every delegate stared at the screen as the signal was displayed. It was faint, broken but undeniable. A heartbeat, slow, powerful, and beneath it, a message in a language that translators struggled to process. A message that made every heart tremble when finally spoken aloud. We never left. The council chamber erupted in terror. Some demanded fleets to attack. Others screamed for retreat. The speaker fell silent, his throat dry. The forbidden name was no longer just a whisper. It was a voice, and somewhere at the edge of the galaxy something human was waking. The silent arrival. The galaxy was no longer calm. Fleets scrambled across star systems. Patrols doubled. Colonies locked down. Every comm station buzzed with nervous messages. But no matter how many ships were deployed, no matter how many lies, the council broadcast, fear spread faster than truth. And the truth was this. The whispers had become signals. The signals had become a voice, and the voice was human. In the Ovrak Dominion, a scout ship patrolling the rim picked up strange readings. At first, the captain thought it was a trick, static, or an error in the sensors. But as they approached the dark edge of space, they saw it. A ship. It was not alien. It carried no known signature. Its hull was scarred, ancient, but still alive. Symbols marked its side, symbols that made the crew's hearts pound. Blue and green, the symbol of Earth. The ship did not broadcast. It did not announce itself. It moved silently, gliding through the void like a shadow. Its engines burned with a strange light that none could identify. The scout captain panicked. He ordered his fleet to fire warning shots. But before the weapons could charge, the human ship turned, slow, deliberate, and faced them. And then, without a sound, every system on the alien ships went dark. Engines offline, shields gone, comms dead. The only thing that worked was life support, and the only sound left was the terrified breathing of the crew. On the bridge, the captain swore he heard something. Not through speakers, not through comms, but inside his head a voice. Do not follow. And then the human ship vanished into the dark. The report reached the council in fragments. The scout fleet returned half-broken, their crews silent and pale. Many refused to speak at all, staring at the floor as if haunted. The speaker demanded answers. What did you see? He shouted. But the captain of the scout ship only whispered one word before collapsing. Human. The council chamber fell into chaos. Some leaders demanded a total war against the rim. Others begged to hide, to erase every trace of Earth once again. But their fear was useless, because the silence was spreading. Across the galaxy, strange events began to happen. On a trade route, 3 cargo ships were found adrift, engines still warm but no crew aboard. On the outer colonies, people swore they saw shadows moving across the stars, ships too fast and too silent to be alien. In one system, an entire garrison of soldiers disappeared overnight. Their base was untouched. Their weapons still hung on the walls. Only a single word was carved into the stone floor. Remember. The speaker called an emergency gathering. The great hall was filled with fear, with trembling voices. We must act now, the speaker declared. We must find the humans and destroy them before they destroy us. The elder, frail and broken, shook his head. You cannot destroy what never died, the speaker snarled. They are few, a forgotten race clinging to old myths. The elder looked at him with sad eyes. You still do not understand. It is not their numbers. It is not their weapons. It is their will. They do not bow. They do not break. That is what you should fear. Before the speaker could reply, the chamber's alarm screamed. A holographic screen lit up. The human ship had arrived. It was not at the rim this time. It was at the heart of the galaxy. The Council's capital. The ship appeared without warning, without jump signature, without distortion. One moment space was empty, the next it was there, hovering above the capital world like a silent predator. No fleet had seen it coming. No radar had caught its entry. It was simply there. The Council's defense fleet moved to intercept. Hundreds of warships locked, weapons, their engines burning bright. Orders were shouted across every channel, but then, silence. Every ship froze in place. Weapons refused to fire. Engines refused to move. Entire fleets hung powerless in orbit, like insects caught in a web. The human ship did nothing. It only hovered, waiting, watching. And then, across every channel, across every planet, across every mind in the galaxy, a single word was spoken. Remember. The sound shook the council chamber. Delegates collapsed to the floor. Soldiers dropped their weapons. Civilizations across the stars fell into terrified silence. The speaker clutched his chest, gasping for breath. His voice cracked as he whispered, "What do you want from us?" And then, for the first time, a human face appeared on the screen. Eyes dark, expression calm, voice steady. "We want you to remember who we are." Fear across the stars, the galaxy, had never been so quiet. Above the Council's capital, the human ship remained still, silent, untouchable. Alien fleets hovered powerless, their weapons frozen, their crews paralyzed by fear. Across the stars, every world waited, trembling, asking the same question: what will the humans do next? In the Dravari Empire, soldiers once proud and cruel now refused to march. Entire battalions deserted their posts, whispering the same phrase: "The Death Worlders have returned." On mining colonies, workers dropped their tools, staring at the sky as if expecting human ships to descend at any moment. The insectoid Zeru gathered in their hives, clicking nervously. Their queen spoke of surrender before a single human weapon had fired. "We have fought many enemies," one queen said, "but this is different. The name itself breaks us. What will their voice do?" Even the pirate clans, who feared nothing, abandoned trade routes. Ships were left floating unclaimed. Smugglers whispered that they had seen human eyes staring from the dark between stars, following them, judging them. The galaxy was falling apart, not by force, but by fear. Inside the council chamber, chaos reigned. Delegates screamed over one another. "We must strike now. No, we must surrender. They will enslave us. They will burn us all." The High Speaker slammed his clawed fist against the table. "Enough! They are one ship. One." If they were truly powerful, they would have attacked already. The elder, frail and weary, raised his voice softly. "You still do not understand. Humanity does not rush. Humanity waits. When the time is right, they move. And when they move, nothing can stop them." The speaker turned red with rage. "Old fool, we cannot surrender to ghosts." But even as he shouted, a holographic broadcast cut across the chamber. The human face appeared again. Calm, expressionless, watching them. This time it spoke more than one word. "We gave you time." Across the galaxy, the same broadcast appeared on every screen, every channel, every device. Even on planets cut off from the Council, even on ships drifting without comms, the face appeared. No one knew how. The voice echoed, "We gave you centuries. You used them to build empires. You used them to enslave worlds. You used them to erase us." The hall fell into silence. Delegates shook, their eyes wide. "But we never left." The voice continued. "We watched. We remembered. And now, so will you." In the Krell Dominion, a young officer fell to his knees, screaming that he could hear human voices whispering his crimes. In the Vari Republic, the ruling council collapsed in terror, confessing to massacres no one had ever known about. It was as if the humans carried not just weapons, but memory itself. And memory was more dangerous than any fleet. The speaker tried to resist. He stood tall, raising his voice above the broadcast. You cannot frighten us. We are billions. We control thousands of worlds. You are one forgotten species hiding in shadows. But even as he spoke, the stars above the capital shifted. One by one, new ships appeared. Not one, not 10. Hundreds. Thousands. Silent warships, their hulls scarred by battles unknown, their engines burning with strange light. They filled the skies, surrounding the capital. Every ship bore the same symbol, the blue and green of Earth, the Yi. Chambers shook as the fleet materialized. Delegates collapsed in terror. The speaker's voice broke. Impossible. It cannot be, the elder whispered, tears in his eyes. It has begun. The human face returned on the broadcast. For the first time, its voice carried anger. We asked only for silence. You gave us mockery. We asked only for peace. You gave us chains. Now, you will hear the voice you feared. And then, in every corner of the galaxy, on every world, the same words appeared, written in fire across the skies. Remember Earth. Panic spread like wildfire. Armies dropped their weapons. Leaders begged for surrender before a single shot was fired. Entire empires collapsed, not from invasion, but from the weight of guilt and fear pressing down on their hearts. The speaker clutched his chest, gasping. What do they want from us? The elder answered softly, his voice heavy with sorrow. They want what was stolen. They want the truth. They want us to remember who they were and what we made them become. Above the capital, the human fleet remained silent. No weapons fired, no armies landed. But the galaxy knew. This was not an invasion. This was a judgment, and the voice of humanity had only just begun to speak. The name that broke empires. The sky above the council's capital was no longer dark. It burned with light. Thousands of human warships floated in silence, their hulls scarred, their shapes strange and ancient, yet stronger than anything the galaxy had ever seen. They surrounded the planet like a cage of stars. Not a single shot had been fired, not a single weapon had been unleashed, and yet the galaxy had already surrendered. Across alien worlds, fear crushed empires. The Dravari warlords threw down their banners. The Zeru queens sealed their hives. The pirate clans scattered, abandoning their ships. Even mighty rulers who had never bowed to anyone now begged their people for forgiveness. The truth was simple. The humans had not conquered through battle. They had conquered through memory. In the council chamber, silence ruled. Every delegate stared at the great screen as the human face returned. Calm, cold, watching. Its voice carried through every comm, every planet, every heart. You feared our name, but you forgot why. Let us remind you. The screen shifted. Images appeared. Not of myths, but of history. They showed humans fighting wars not with fleets, but with their bare hands. Soldiers in mud, refusing to surrender. Mothers carrying children through fire. Workers rebuilding cities after disasters. Explorers stepping onto barren rocks and calling them home. Scene after scene unfolded. Struggle, pain, survival. And yet, behind all of it, strength. We were not gods, the voice said. We were not monsters. We were human. And that was enough. The speaker trembled, his hands shaking. Why now? Why return after so long? He demanded. The human eyes turned toward him. Because you erased us. You enslaved worlds. You silenced those who remembered. You thought our name would die in the dark. But our silence was not weakness, it was patience. We remembered every wound, every betrayal, every chain. The elder in the chamber closed his eyes. Judgment, he whispered. This is judgment. And then something even stranger happened. The humans did not fire their weapons, they did not demand tribute, they did not conquer. Instead, their ships opened, not with missiles but with light. Thousands of smaller vessels spread across the stars carrying not armies but people, alien survivors, refugees, beings forgotten by history, long thought lost, broken species who had once stood with humans, now returned at their side. Gasps filled the council chamber as familiar faces appeared. A winged race thought extinct, a reptilian people erased from records. Even machine intelligences that the council had once dismantled, now restored, standing beside humanity. The message was clear. The humans had not come alone. They had come with every voice the council tried to silence. The human spoke again, its voice sharp as steel. You called us weak, you called us savage, you buried our name. But we were never alone. Every world you broke, every people you cast aside, we carried them with us. And now, we stand together. The speaker collapsed into his seat. His voice was nothing but a whisper. You will destroy us. The human's eyes burned with cold fire. No, we will not destroy you. You will destroy yourselves. Confusion swept the chamber. Delegates whispered nervously. The human continued. We will not fire a single shot. We do not need to. Already your fleets hesitate. Already your soldiers drop their weapons. Already your people question your rule. We will not conquer you, your fear will. And across the galaxy, it began. Worlds rebelled against their rulers. Armies mutinied. Empires fractured. All because of one word. Earth. The name itself broke the chains of loyalty, shattered the illusion of power. One by one, governments crumbled. Not from human weapons, but from the weight of history. The galaxy was no longer united under the council. It was broken. Broken by fear. Broken by truth. Broken by a name. In the chamber, the elder lifted his head, tears streaming down his face. It is over. The galaxy belongs to them. But the human shook his head. No. The galaxy belongs to all who endured. We are only here to remind you. Never forget again. The screen faded. The ships began to withdraw, vanishing into the void, silent as shadows. They had not fired. They had not destroyed. But the galaxy would never recover, because now, every child, every soldier, every leader would remember the name that silenced the stars, Earth, and nothing would ever erase it again.